We may have a lot of young animation students watching us. I want to ask you about your experience studying abroad in Germany. What was that like compared to studying in your home country? And what do you think is an animation program should provide for its students?
For me, I made this, it was the very beginning of Erasmus exchange, and my first studies were in Ljubljana, the Academy of Fine Arts. And the Academy of Fine Arts is still, I'm gonna be, because we have this focus on women, but it's still full of men. There are only men professors, and what they say, I mean, I used to believe that they are right in every way. And we were just used to getting like, you know, a task. So you were like fulfilling a task of the professor who knew everything, and it was, and then I went to Germany and the studies were complete opposite. Then suddenly the professor was there giving a feeling to students, I'm here because of you, you're not here because of me. And they were trying to search out that was something that was special, equal in each one of us. And so in this kind of, for me, first of all, it was quite frustrating because there was no tasks. It was like, do whatever you feel like, do whatever you want. And suddenly it was like, who am I? What do I want? And in comparison, it was, you know, in Slovenia, we had like no technology, no computers in that time, nothing. And of course, Germany had everything. And for me, it was then, I was so in love with the system there that I went and actually studied another university there. And I don't regret the choice. And maybe, there were so many questions. What would I wish that the students would get?
Yes, what do you wish you?
I mean, you know, in a way, like in my country, all the parents who have like teenage kids are dreaming of sending them abroad. I mean, my experience abroad was very good. But then again, if I think about, like, if we're going to send all our talented kids abroad, we're going to be left with only, I don't know, bad material, I'll say. So in the moment, I feel it's quite difficult. As long as we provide them that they still do come back, or that we get other students from elsewhere, this is okay. But I'm scared of these transitions so I think it is very, very important for each country to provide quality studies for students as well. But going abroad was a great experience for me because I live in a capital, so I had no money to rent a place, so I had to be with my parents during the whole studies. So I really wanted to go out and tend to, you know, those independent words. But being a foreigner, again, it's not as dreamy as it sounds sometimes. I never felt, I mean, I was very accepted in Germany, but I never felt a part of them. So that's why I came back, because I always felt a foreigner, even though I learned German, like German, but it was never for me the same emotional level.
And did you get to know the German animation landscape, and how does it compare to your home country?
Actually, when I went to Germany, I thought I'm going to study something completely different. So I actually randomly ended up in the animation department because the department I went to was not that quality. I mean, I didn't fit in, or somehow I realized if I'm going to do that, I'm going to be more into mathematics than into visuals, and I was enjoying more the visual part. So then one day I decided, oh, I'm going to just, you know, animation, this is something that could interest me. And then 2 weeks later, I was already in Annecy with the animation class, and that was for me like like a dream come true. And I was like, wow, this is like everything I ever wanted, or a serious subject tell in a funny, beautiful, artistic way. So this was where I was just blown away. And I was lucky to have a teacher like, I mean, he came in my third year of studies. It was Raimund Krume. He's, I think, one of the best animators ever, or I mean, I really, really like him, and he gave me so much. And you know, Slovenian animation landscape is still fighting for survival. I mean, it is growing slowly, but there's still no proper school for animation supported by the government. There are some like private schools, but not really what I would wish that it could grow, because we have talent, but you know how it is. And I think we're missing out, because I think animation is right now rising up towards all sorts of media, not only film, but it's needed everywhere.
Yes. Your 2013 project, Boles, Boles,
Yes.
was based on a short story by Maxim Gorky. What was the process of adapting it, and how do you feel that literature and animation connect to each other?
Most of all, I realized that adapting literature, it's super difficult, because literature is a completely different media, but somehow my favorite films were always based on something. So I said, why don't I try to do that based on? And on the end, when I had the premiere in Annecy, one journalist asked me, how do I feel that I made a story so different from what it originally was? And what do I think that Maxim Gorky would think about? So I guess I'm quite lucky that he's dead over 80 years. So he cannot really complain, and even not know, I mean, those rights are open. So I was able to rewrite the story. But it was I think the good part of it that we didn't get financed for almost 5 years. So we had time to rewrite and rewrite and rewrite that story. And in the end, it really was so little that was left from that story, I think.
Would you ever adapt a literary piece in the future?
I'll never say no, but I would never, I think, start from the point that I wanted to. If I would find a story that I would see it's already like in my imaginary way, yes, but in a moment, no.
How much time do you spend working on a script, or do you have a script, or?
I do. I actually work since Boles. I work with my husband, partner, I don't know what, boyfriend. I mean, we lived together for 15 years, and sometimes they tell me that it's not proper to call him boyfriend. I still see him as my boyfriend. But yeah, we write things together because he's really good with words. He's an actor, so for him, like writing dialogues, it's so natural, and I really love creating stories with somebody else, because I think when you say an idea out loud, it becomes real. And if you have it in your head, it's just a mixture of dreams. So for me, this combination, I mean, it's not always easy, you know, should we work or should we clean the flat or cook the lunch? This is sort of difficult sometimes, and his job is really difficult. So sometimes I'm like, should I make a schedule in your schedule that we have to do the application and we have to finish the script? But yeah, somehow it is working.
What are some differences between working with stop motion and drawing? How do you choose which one for a project?
I've never really done a proper drawing animation, I have to admit. So I don't know. I always go by what I know. And I love, I mean, in my last film, in a steakhouse, this was the first time that we did, but I didn't do it, like proper animators did it, some drawing animation in TV Paint, and then we printed that out and we did the cutouts, and then we did all these exchangeable parts. So that was, for me, I think, the closest to the drawing animation I came. I started stop motion because that was something that I thought that I could do. Somehow when I started with puppets, I said, oh, you just do something and then you tell the story with it. So, but actually I'm more and more interested in the two-dimensional animation.
What are some challenges that you faced while producing your films, and how did you manage them?
Oh, I don't know. I think each film brings. I always think, you know, when you once win so many awards and you're invited everywhere, you know, then you say, oh, at least it's going to be so easy to get the next financing, you know, but then it's not. And it's been the same over and over again, that each project has new challenges, each project. And we have a very bad situation in Slovenia that affects the whole film funding. And our funding is lower than, I don't know, Kosovo, I think, has bigger fundings than we do. So it's a bit frustrating. And right now we have a government that doesn't even support us at all. So it's, you know, those challenges are, and sometimes I feel like I'm doing more of these you know, struggling phases, and so it's still is important in which country you're supported. And then, you know, you get a lot of questions, why don't you just co-produce? And of course we do co-produce, but co-production doesn't mean that solves your own problem at home, because co-production means that you get services in other countries that are extremely expensive comparing to the services that you get. And then, of course, they owe most of your film because of that. And it's a bit frustrating. Yeah. That are, I think, the biggest challenges in my work. When it comes to production, I have a really beautiful team and we have fun, but it's sometimes painful, you know, when you I work with the same animator for, I think now almost 10 years. And, you know, then she's like struggling, can she pay rent this month? And I'm like almost crying. I'm like, come on, it's my fault because I don't probably, you know, pay her well enough. But I mean, I'm not paid well enough as well, but still it's a little bit, you know, it gets a little bit, you know, the first film, it's filled with enthusiasm. The second film says, oh, we're going to do better than we did before. And when the third film is even worse than the first film, then you start questioning yourself if that really makes sense.
And how did you make the transition from a student, from making films as a student to going out into the real world, so to speak?
I think this transition was the hardest for me, especially because I studied in Germany, and we talked before in a student bubble, and my bubble was amazing. I had the money for the project, I had space, I had technical support. So, you know, I had everything. And when I started then I thought, of course, you know, and you know, I was accepted around the world, giving awards. I thought, this is great. I found something that I'm good at. I'm going to do that. And then I came back to Slovenia, and I applied with it was Boles, actually, the first version of the script. And the jury on the film fund wrote to me that animation films are not for grown-ups, and that I should do something more, more sensible with my life or something like that. So I could give up in that moment. I was really, I was really, but we were then struggling for 4 years to get the money, and then we did the film. And then I think in the film funding, sort of, they understood that that maybe it makes a little bit sense that we do exist.
About that misconception that animation is only for children, did you face that often in your career?
Of course, I think we all do. When you say you do animation, they first ask you if you're animating kids on the birthdays. And then you say, no, but we make films. Oh, do we see it in a kids program on the TV? So yeah, it's of course still an area that it's not. I mean, what it's funny that we are not really accepted in real films, not really accepted in the arts, and not really, you know, it's still, but we'll come there if we work on, I think.
I wanted to talk more about funding. I know you've touched briefly on the lack of funding in your country. Have you found other methods of funding outside of in Europe or?
I mean, all of my films have always been a co-production. I worked with Germany, Croatia, France, and I mean, as I said, it's good to get the co-production, but it has to make sense. It has to be like, you know, you have to know what you want to do in that country. It's not that nobody will just give you the money and tell you you can stay in your cozy place in Slovenia and we'll pay for you, but they will just give you, you know, services. You can get music from France, you can get, I don't know, animators from Croatia. So yeah, you need to think co-production not as getting your budget higher, but as getting your services.
Your last film, Steakhouse, got released this year. How did the current pandemic affect the release and the process?
It was affected quite a lot because especially because of this co-production thing. We were supposed to do the whole sound and color correction and post-production of the picture in Germany. And every time we tried to travel somewhere, or I tried to travel to Germany, the borders were closed, and then the project was on hold, and then suddenly it opened up, and then more important projects came in. So it was kind of a struggle, and on the end, we decided with the German producer that we're gonna actually finish some things in Slovenia because it started to be too long for the whole thing to, because I opened the film every 2-3 months and I was like, oh, what was missing? What were we doing last? So yeah, that was a challenge. That was a new challenge for me. But of course, we were animating the film for 1.5 years, and then suddenly, everybody's watching it on the little screens. So that's quite painful.
Do you have any future projects that you are working on?
I'm developing a project, but it's very, very at the beginning. So I'm still not sure if it's the right subject, I'll say, because I always choose the subject that I want to talk about. And so we'll see.
So since this edition of Animist celebrates women in animation, what were some challenges that you faced in your career as a woman, and what advice you have to aspiring women in animation?
I think, I don't know, challenges, of course are challenges I think most important is to stay true to yourself, not to try to be something that you're not, but try to find something that you love to do. I think if you find the technique or the way of storytelling or anything that it's just that you enjoy it, it's enough to do it. Because I said to myself, as long as I'm enjoying the process, I'm doing this, even though all the, this sort of unbalance between production and fundings and stuff. But as long as I can't wait in the morning to come to the studio to solve a problem or to make a scene or to draw something or put lightning on something, it's enough for me to continue.
What changes do you think should be made to ensure equal opportunities?
I think it's good that we talk about it. I still think that we all have this perception, not only men. I think even women have the perception about where somebody should be. So I think sometimes that all these, maybe it sounds forced that we talk about how many directors are on a festival, how many won awards, and somehow it doesn't feel natural, because if you ask me, I would love that my film wins because it's a good film and not because it's done by a right gender. But then again, if we won't do this transition somehow to even like, yeah, realize it, that it's possible, then we won't accept it. Because I think we all have this judgmental thing that we are used to having, especially white middle-aged. They're so hated now, poor guys.
Do you have any women artists, either in animation or other arts, that inspire you?
Oh, I do. I actually admire, I have to say that with the process that I'm in, I admire not only women, but all the animators who are there who are struggling over and over, or not struggling, but they are true to their art, and they are still in the animation. And, you know, like Signe Baumane or Joanna Quinn or Michaela Pavlatova, they are all like still there and truly there with their hearts, and they're doing the same thing there. Because it's easy to talk about young talents who come there and they're fresh and have this new idea, but how do you develop that over decades?
We were talking earlier, and you said that you don't really care about prizes in the competitions, in festivals. Do you care more about your films reaching a wider audience?
I think what I appreciate most, especially my previous film, was about alcoholism, and I realized that what meant to me the most was when I was there in the screening, and after the screening, people came to me and opened up personal stories to me, like, you know, I have a father, or I am an alcoholic, or I used to drink, or, you know, and this was so important to me, much more than anything else, because that's, I think, making films is communication, and you are actually telling a story, and you are opening up something that you would usually never talk to strangers about, or not maybe even strangers, but to talk about with afterwards. So that's, I think, for me now, the most important part of filmmaking.
Can we go back and talk about your writing relationship with your partner, and if the intimacy between you two somehow helps or transpires on the screen in your films?
I don't know. We're a very happy couple still, so even though we write together, I mean, I think it's about trust, because, you know, sometimes, because he's completely out of the process when the script is finished. And even later on, if I decide to go other way, I mean, he's sometimes just, when we have troubles with timings, then we invite him to a studio and we ask him that he acts for us, or something like that, or we discuss then. But actually, I think we both trust each other. I think I very much trust his opinion, and he trusts my decisions that I do. So I think that's why it's a good that collaboration. I think we almost never argue about the decisions we do, or of course it's the dynamic of creation, but it's actually a nice one, mostly.
If there are some questions from the audience.
Because to finalize the project, or what do you think?
My worst project was Boles, because I had a baby in between. And this was maybe something that only women can experience, especially. And it was like a story that's really, because we have a strict law in Slovenia that you have to finish a film in 2 years, no matter what. And of course, having a baby in between was not really easy to finish, you know, especially because I did puppets and my belly was bigger and bigger. So my puppets were like more and more far away from me. And I had one animator, but I did the lighting, I did the preparation of everything. So it was really difficult for me, especially on the end. I couldn't feel anything. And of course, we went on a delay because we didn't finish until the timing and stuff. And I went to a meeting with a guy because we were supposed to do a post-production in Slovenia where they would finance the post-production, like a sound studio and stuff like that. And then this director of this technical department said, "We cannot prolong your project. Maybe if you died, we would, but having a baby is no reason for a prolongation." And I was like, so this was something that was really, really, really difficult for me. And I thought I'm gonna use my weakness, but it didn't work. So I had to go with I think my son was like a couple of months old when I had to travel to Berlin and pay everything from my own pocket to finish the film. And yeah, that was difficult. That was definitely. I learned that no, that was not the weakness I can use. I mean, it's not really a weakness; it's brutality. I think I don't know what would happen if they would. I don't know. Yeah, that was my, I think, biggest challenge. But using weakness, I'm not sure. Maybe I do, but I don't know.
What about your son? What does he think about what you do?
You travel around and you watch cartoons. That's quite a job, Mom. Yeah, that's one of my favorites. He really, I mean, he was, it's 2 or 3 years ago, we were together in south of Italy on Imaginaria, a really wonderful festival. And he was so like, you know, he was every night there on a big screen, the first one to watch cartoons, and he really, really loves it. So he's always jealous when I go somewhere.
What exactly made you change your mind and choose animation?
I think most of all, I was at that point working only behind a computer. And suddenly when I saw all I went to my first workshop was a puppet workshop. And suddenly, and we had to do a puppet on a one-day workshop. And suddenly I felt like, you know, oh, this is so good, because my previous academy was very traditional. We did painting, drawing, sculpturing, all sorts of like hand-made stuff. And suddenly I felt like, oh my God, I can combine that with like technology and do a project out of it. So this was, I think, and I think I really love like painting or making my fingers dirty with any sort of creative things. I think it's really wonderful. So that was, I think, the main reason why I still like, I'm stuck with stop motion, because
You consider yourself as an artist who is like with a sense of humor, which are pretty serious, but if you, of course, for me, they have lots of humor in it, but I don't know if it's planned or what do you think about that?
I think planning a humor is super difficult. I think making a funny film is the most difficult thing, especially because when you travel with your film around, it's so strange that people are laughing at some points, and on the other side of Earth, where you would think that they, I don't know, in Russia and alcoholism, they were asking like, what is alcoholism? So, you know, it is super difficult to make a universally funny film. And I really love when humor comes spontaneously. It's part of the story, it's part of the subject, or it comes that it's not planned, it's not a joke that it's written. I think it never works that way. I don't know if I have sense of humor. Was that a question?
You said that you have the initial idea, but your partner is heavily involved in the writing. And I just kind of wondered how that comes about, how you get that initial idea into his head enough that he can contribute in the writing.
He usually knows what is bugging me, you know. I usually take it from a very personal thing, and because he knows me that well. And he is like my very last film. I have a subject of psychological violence, which is a very difficult subject again, and it was the case that it was a submission deadline for the project, and we had only 1 week, and we were like, what could we do and what not? And I know that I went. I don't know, I went out, and when I came back, he came with me and he said, I have this story. I was like, okay. And he told me this story, which is exactly the same as it is now in film. And, you know, and I was like, oh my God, you needed a half an hour to make a story like that up, and I'll need 3 years to make a film out of it. So, yeah.
We also have a question from our online audience. What advice you have for starting artists that aren't popular yet and struggle with gaining followers? I think he is meaning online followers.
I'm a wrong generation for the...
Or maybe let's replace it with an audience.
With an audience. I think it's always good if as I said, if you're true to yourself and you have something to say, then you just say it. And if it's close to your heart, if it's something that bugs you, it will definitely be honest on the end, because it will be a subject that you I don't know, you feel close to. And I don't know, getting an audience, I hope festival will survive these crazy times that we are in, and that I think I know only festival crowds, and I don't know if I have really followers, but
well, I guess with the festival prestige can come an online audience as well, followers. I mean, popularity can translate to the social media also, so...
Yeah. I'm not good with social media. I always need like 2 hours to make a post, and I'm still like, oh my God, I forgot to, I don't know, tag somebody or something. So no, it's a nightmare for my generation.
Can you, I know you have some pictures or a short presentation. Can you walk us through some of the techniques or some of the...
Sure, I can show you some...
Your films?
You can find my films on a website that it's... I have a little company that's called Finta. Until now, we produced only my work, but now we are producing a film from my animator. It's going to be a wonderful film. Very feminine, but a completely different her style, and I'm super happy that I encouraged her, because that was really, I think, one of my biggest work was that I encouraged somebody to do their own film. Especially women in Slovenia, they always feel that they are not capable of telling their own stories. They always feel like, oh, it's so much easier to just work for somebody or just to animate something or do that commercial, but you know, stepping forward and saying your own story, it's super challenging, and she, I think, has a big challenge to do, but let's hope she'll finish it. So yeah, we talked about Boles before. That's the puppets. I have some making off of that. I'll just go through. Those were the first drawings of the characters, and this was an important person in my puppet career, was this a great friend, and he works with me for 15 years, and he still works all the technical solutions. He's an amazing technician. He did puppets for the first time in his life, because he approached me. It's like, I really want to try, because he's a puppet theater maker. I mean, he does puppets for the puppet theater. And he said, I really wanted to do an animation. Can I do one day? And I'm like, of course. And I really wanted to have dialogue with my puppets. And then we needed to find a material that you could open the mouth. And that's why we use silicone. And he learned everything from, you know, we had this Corpse Bride book, and we were like looking at it, you know, how is this done and how is this done? And then one day I met Ian McKinnon on a lunch, and I was like, oh, he's just sitting next to me, you know, and I have all these questions. And I was like, no, but it's unpolite, and he's just having lunch. I cannot really now, you know, jump into his plate, tell me about, you know, all the secrets of the puppets. But then I did, and he was really, really, really nice, and he told me everything, and I wished I would have the knowledge before. But the story I wanted to tell was that when I met him again, I gave him a DVD of my film, and he saw me on the next day, and he said, how did you do that? The whole studio was looking at your film, and we didn't know how you do those, I don't know, fingers or something. And I was like, oh my God, that was one of the biggest compliments I got, I have to say. So we did this in a very low budget, and this was the living room of my producer lives in this living room now. And I had the German animator who slept in the next room, and we had the tiny room where I prepared the whole puppets and stuff. So this was the, very, it was a small production, but still, on the end, I think we achieved, but as I told you, on the end, I was just so happy this film was over and I don't go to prison. Because that was actually on the contract that I would be responsible for the, and then it's night rock. It's I changed the technique from, I was sort of fed up with puppets because I didn't know where to go on. And I think Raimund Krume had a big influence. He hates puppets, but he had a big influence on me. He said, you know, you have to step a little towards the experiment of losing the space, or like using the space for the storytelling. And, you know, it was really difficult to think about it in puppets, but I agreed with him that, you know, the space around the character can say so much about the story. So I got this table. It was the National Slovenian Television already threw 2 or 3 like that on the garbage. And then this was the last one. And my ex-professor called me like, you are the only person in Slovenia who's crazy enough to take this. Because he made the only feature film that was done in Slovenia was made on this table. It's like, it's so precious to me. Can you? And I was 8 months pregnant at that time. I said, of course, I'm coming tomorrow. This is like 200 kilos, but and I had no studio. So I was searching there for the next 2 years to find a proper studio. And as I said, my technician made this multi-plan stand for it. And this was then our first try to do, this is Daria, she's now making this, she's the animator who is making her own film now. But we, you know, we had to test all, because none of us did the cutout animation before, so we needed to do all the research, which material is gonna be fine and what's gonna work, and how is the lights, because the lights were completely different than with the stop motion puppets, and so it was, I think on the end, we threw 40% of the material that we made away, because it was just, you know, that the quality of the work went completely different from the beginning to end. But it was a fun production. It was very dark, and the film is very dark. But it was, I mean, I realized that this technique is something that I really love doing, because it combines all these all the things that I love to do. It combines painting, playing with lights, combines I don't know, all sorts of things. And the things that I love most is improvising. And doing in this technique, the best thing is that you sometimes put, like, I don't know, when I wanted to do this drunk road, I put a lasagna pot in front of the camera and moved it a little bit, and the whole picture went super greatly transformed. And that's the beauty that I love working with it. It's just sometimes you have because this drunken road, this was something that was really the hardest to achieve, and we didn't really know how to do this. Traveling through these woods, and we actually went then one day with my 2 animators. They were exchanging them because I couldn't afford both of them on set, but they had to do other jobs, and then we went driving. We were not drunk, but we went driving through the woods in the night, and then we were like, but actually everything is completely blurry, so that's what we need. We just need to put a lot of Vaseline in front of the camera. And this is how we did actually then the road. It was super easy. On the Ante, we did it on 1 layer and with a little bit of painting on glass, and with a lot of Vaseline that you can even animate. When you animate Vaseline, the light breaks in a way. So yeah, that's what's fun for me in this sort of. Then I had this project that you've probably seen. I'm gonna screen it tonight as well. That was somehow completely, in a moment when I started to ask myself, what is the meaning of these art films? Why are we doing it? We don't really earn a lot of money with it. We got the project that we said, okay, so let's try the big world. I was super happy to go back to my films after this. This was because we were pitching for this project, and there were all sorts of rounds, and we had this, right concept, and I don't know what. But this is actually why we got the project, because the girls in the Netflix office on the set, but the puppet blinked. So yeah, the puppet blinked, and this is what it got as a project. That was quite crazy because they wanted 4-minute animation and 22 puppets and 23 sets in a month and a half. Yes, it was quite crazy, and we were a team of maximum 8 people. So we didn't even have. We had 2 sets, and we did 4 shots a day. I was like finishing the puppets while they were like pulling me. Oh, we have to move forward. So it was. The fun part was that we didn't have any Netflix people in the production time. This month and a half, we agreed on a storyboard. We agreed on the treatment, but then we were left alone and we were animating. And the series, it's pretty brutal. So, for me, it was like one morning I was with my 2 animators and I said, "Are you gonna do the rape? Or are you going to do the killing?" And then I was like, oh my God, what are we doing here? So yeah, killing puppets it was really a new challenge. But as I said, I was lucky that I took felt I worked with felt for the first time, but it was a great choice because first of all, it was cheap. The puppets were made really fast and you could do anything out of it. You could do water, makeup, food, everything was really fastly done with a little bit of improvisation with the wool. And the wool is super loved by the camera. I always thought that, it's going to be, but the wool is, the woolen puppets are quite popular in the moment, but we had this great chance to try it out. And I had a cinematographer on my set for the whole time. That was something so much fun. It was really good because I never worked with a cinematographer before because I could not afford it. But it was so much fun. I came like the real director and I said, no, I think it's too bright. And that Steakhouse, that's the film you're going to see tonight if you come to the screening of Agnes and my films. So I think that's a teaser if you want to see. It's without sound, it's still, or I don't know, doesn't matter, I can talk through it, but. it's still very fresh. I can't wait to be in a cinema watching it, because I've seen it only twice with an audience, or maybe even just once. And it's so beautiful to be in this, you know, black space where everything is focused on your film. But I just had an online festival, and I don't know, maybe I was too stupid, but it was so hard for me to watch, because you have this automatic resolution and everything, because my film is quite blurry, and everything was like, you know, full of pixels, and I was like alone at 4 o'clock in the morning, because that was Ottawa. I was like crying, like, oh my God, my film looks like shit. So, yeah, sorry. So yeah, these are some, yeah, photos of how we did the film. It's again like a lot of cutouts in combination with drawing on cells, like the oil.
It's multi-plane as well.
Yes, that's the. Yeah, oof, what a great photo to finish. So, yeah.
Are there any more questions? Okay, so thank you for being here. And we'll see your films tonight. They'll be screened at the Cervantes Institute at 8 o'clock. And you will be also present for a Q&A after.
I heard, yeah.
So we'll see you there, and hope you enjoyed the talk.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.